Hey there, today's Tuesday. Yep, Tuesday, nailed it right off the bat. Today I want to chat with you about the quick method of HST accounting. It's kind of a weird way to say it, but it's called the quick method. This method is an alternative to calculating HST in the normal way. So normally we would take the HST that we collect from people, which is 13% in Ontario. In Alberta, our GST is 5%. Some provinces have different HST numbers. It doesn't matter. The GST HST that we charge on our invoices, we collect from people. And then the HST or GST that we pay out on expenses that we buy, so like gas and coffee and pens and stuff like that, that we would pay out on those, we can subtract from the HST, GST that we've collected, and we just remit the net amount to the government. That means that we have to be tracking the HST that we pay out on expenses. And I definitely recommend doing that because it means that you're recording your expenses regularly. But I know that some businesses are very small, or they don't do their bookkeeping regularly, or it's just that they're doing it in Excel, and maybe that's a difficult thing. So there's an alternative way to calculating your GST HST, and it's called the quick method. And how it works is you charge the regular amount that you're supposed to charge on your invoice. So in Ontario, it's 13%. In Alberta, with the GST, it's only 5%. So you charge that normal percentage. And then when you go to file your HST return, you only remit a smaller percentage. So in Ontario, it's 8.8%, assuming that you are a service provider. In Alberta, it's 3.6% if you're a service provider. There's like a matrix that's on the CRA's website that tells you, if you're in a province that has HST and you provide services that are HSTable, and you sort of do this and find out how much you have to remit. But it's, in a lot of cases, it saves you money because service providers specifically, a lot of times we don't have a lot of expenses, right? We provide our service, and it's our time and it's our knowledge and that we're selling to people. And so we might not have a lot of expenses. Or maybe it's, we invoice a couple times a month and we have only one or two expenses, or we're tracking in Excel or whatever. So this is a way to do it where you don't necessarily have to track the little pieces of HST. There are some limitations though. You can only do this if you make less than $400,000 in revenue in a year, or 4 consecutive quarters, I should say. So not necessarily like January to December. It could be like July to June or something like that. So 4 consecutive quarters, you have to make less than 400,000. You have to elect it at specific times during the year, depending on when your HST comes up. So you have to actually go and elect it. That's another thing. So you have to sign into your business account and file an election for the use of the quick method of HST. It's super easy to do, but you do have to tell the government that that is what you're doing. If you use the HST quick method of HST, you get $300 in ITCs, which is input tax credit. So you would remit, in Ontario, you would remit 8.8% of your sales. So you'd collect 13%, but then you'd only remit 8.8% minus $300, because you get that $300 in the initial input tax credits. It's also limited by the industry that you're in. So like bookkeeping and finance and tax preparers and accountants and that kind of thing, we are not allowed to use the quick method. Financial institutions, charities, non-profit organizations, schools, that kind of thing are not allowed. Most companies are though. Most companies are allowed to use the quick method. So if you hate calculating your HST, you find yourself trying to do a whole year's worth of bookkeeping all at once just to file HST, you don't have a ton of expenses, so you end up paying over almost all of the HST that you collect, and you don't make a whole lot in terms of revenue, a little less than 400,000. 400,000 is significant. Then maybe this method is for you. I've linked to the CRA's guidance on that in the description. So if you're interested to learn more, definitely check that out. You can ask questions in the comments as well. If you have questions about maybe the difference between the two or whether the Quick Method is right for you. If you're looking for more accounting and tax tips, then sign up for my newsletter. I've left a link to that in the description as well. Every week I send a newsletter just giving you tips just like this. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you tomorrow.